Welcome. Edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you as I always am, over the airwaves of ESPN Radio and ESPN News, 250 plus markets across the United States of America, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM Channel 80, plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Credit Karma. Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma today. That's Credit Karma, K-A-R-M-A. Get knowing. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Lots of stuff going on in the world of sports today. Going to get into a little football a little bit later on. Antonio Brown talking about Juju Smith-Schusters and others within the NFL community responding to just that. Obviously, some stuff going on in the NBA, the battle for seedings. I don't know if there's ever been a time in recent NBA history where actual seedings played such an important and pivotal role to the outlook of some playoff series going on. There's no question about that. That's something to get into. The Golden State Warriors, the two-time reigning defending champions, played their last regular season game at the Oracle last night, blowing out the Los Angeles Clippers. That's neither here nor there. The Clippers are in the playoffs. We'll see what they do. Things can get interesting there. We'll talk about that. Obviously, LeBron James has some things to say over the weekend about where he stood, what he's going to be all about, and we'll talk about that as we move forward. Plus, I'm hearing some news percolating in the NBA community, what's going on with Kyrie Irving, New York, LA, etc., etc. So stay tuned for that bit of noise. And plus, I want to talk a little bit about a column that was written in the New York Daily News yesterday, Sunday's paper, by the great sports columnist, baseball columnist to be exact, the one and only Bill Madden. It just doesn't get much better, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't get much better. I've been reading him since I was a kid, and the guy is absolutely phenomenal, and wrote another exceptional column yesterday about the state of Major League Baseball as it pertains to some of these contracts, particularly with Xander Bogaerts signing a 6-year, $120 million deal. How it's going to be easier for the Yankees to re-up Didi Gregorius in the event that it comes to that. Aaron Judge in the event that this comes to that. Dallas Keuchel and others that are still without contracts, not playing for anybody, which is a shocker. That's something we'll get into as the show progresses today. But the first order of business is to get into what's scheduled to take place tonight in Minneapolis, Minnesota at US Bank Stadium. It will be Texas Tech winners, 61-51 winners over Michigan State in the national semifinal. Congratulations to Tom Izzo and the Michigan State Spartans, by the way, for balling the way that they did prior to this point. They just ran into a team that has a defense that's capable of putting forth a defensive performance the likes of which I have not seen. I'm not going to lie to you. This team, I mean, you could go back to 40 Minutes of Hell. You could go back to the Running Rebels when they wanted to amp it up on you. Duke, when they wanted to amp it up on you. You could go back to Nolan Richardson's 40 Minutes of Hell. Like I said, you could go to Hoya Paranoia, the days when Gene Smith was spearheading John Thompson's defense, and he had Patrick Ewing in the background, Reggie Williams, Michael Jackson, Michael Graham and the crew. I mean, but I look at this Texas Tech defense, and I just got to tell you, it's something special. I mean, Cassius Winston is undersized. I understand that. Shot 4-16 from the field, played 40 minutes, only had one turnover in the Elite Eight, had four turnovers in the 40 minutes he played Saturday night. Couldn't really do much of anything. Freshman Aaron Henry, famous for Izzo yelling at him during the NCAA tournament. That's come and gone. McQuaid playing just scoring just 12 points in 37 minutes of action. They were the only guys that scored double figures for Michigan State. Only 4 players scored. Or actually 5 players scored for Michigan State. Xavier Tillman had 7. Nick Ward had 5. But when you look at Texas Tech, and I know they're going up against a Virginia squad that some believe were lucky. But when you look at Texas Tech, I will tell you this. I'm not counting on Jared Culver having a game like he had in the national semifinal Saturday night. Shot 3 of 12 from the field, scored just 10 points, played 33 minutes. I expect a better game from him. This is a guy that we were talking about projecting him as a potential top 5 pick overall in the upcoming NBA draft. That's what we were talking about when it came to this guy. Okay, so don't have me sit here and believe that he's going to have back-to-back games where he's impotent offensively and virtually non-existent for the first 35 minutes of the game. I don't believe it. I believe that Jarrett Culver is going to show up tonight, and he is going to ball out. I think Mooney will join him. He will make some shots. I think Texas Tech, again, might win. Now, please don't take my word for it. I mean, my pool is awful now. Up till the Sweet 16, I was in the top 1 percentile. And then the Sweet 16 came and went, and I fell off the map. All true. And I think you look at Virginia, I'm not going to lie to you. It was a strictly emotional decision as to why I haven't picked Virginia at all. And the reason why I haven't picked Virginia at all, because I didn't want to see them. A matter of fact, this matchup tonight, I don't think will be good ratings-wise. Let me be very clear about that. I don't think too many people are going to clamor to watch this game. You will miss Zion Williamson. You will miss Zion Williamson. That is somebody that you absolutely positively was rooting for to play until the last possible minute. I had Carolina beating Duke for the national title personally, but I'm here to tell you something. I wanted Zion Williamson playing every minute of this NCAA tournament until the NCAA tournament came to an end. Because, ladies and gentlemen, he is box office. He is box office. He's a human highlight reel. True. But it ain't just for his dunks. He could steal a ball. He could make a regular power post move, drop step, go into the paint, lay it in. Everything you see this guy do, you're magnetized by or towards. This dude is that special. And God help anybody if he learns how to use his right hand. Because let me tell you something. He's not as ambidextrous as he could be as of yet. And R.J. Barrett, that advice goes to you too. My God, you need to learn how to use your right hand. Don't be somebody like Clyde Drexler who only used his right and then he used his left, even though he's a Hall of Famer. Don't be somebody like Jalen Rose who is primarily a southpaw, lefty. We live in a different age, a different time, with the advancement of analytics, technology, and everything in between. And you can't be a one-armed bandit and do but so much, with the exception of a Zion Williamson who is 280-plus pounds. So when you're 280, here's what happens. People tend to move the hell out of your way because they know a Mack truck is coming at them. Now, that was in college. In a pros where you're going up against grown men. Most of them will move out the way. Some of them may not. And as a result, it might behoove you to add a little versatility to your arsenal. And to learn to use your right hand. Learn to go right. Learn to finish right. Learn to finish with your right hand as opposed to going left and finish with your left all the time. But Zion Williams is big time. Zion Williamson is big time. And there ain't nobody like that left in this tournament. But Culver can ball. And I think Texas Tech should have an edge. Let me get to Virginia and Auburn for a second, because it's important that I bring that up. You could say Virginia lucked up 63-62 winners over Auburn. But there's a couple of things to take into consideration, ladies and gentlemen. You could say that they lucked up because there was a double dribble that was missed. It should have been called. And Kyle Guy got fouled on a three-point shot. That was a foolish play by Samir Dowdy. You can say all of that. Let me say a couple of things to you. Number one, you were up 4 with 17 seconds left. You were up 4 with 17 seconds left. So it's important to point that out. That is number one. Number two, you Samir Dowdy. How in God's name are you going to sit up there and say you didn't think you touched the guy? When Kyle Guy launched this three from the left corner, you see Samir Dowdy make contact. Why? First of all, you jumped into him, and you did touch him when you jumped into him. Secondly, you gave him no place to land. You have to give a shooter a landing spot. You can't low bridge him. You can't come under him like that. They're going to call that foul. That was the right call by the official. That was the right call. I hated the fact that the call was made and that it decided a trip to the national championship game. I hated that. I'm sick for Bruce Pearl, who did an outstanding job at Auburn this year. I'm sick for Bruce Pearl. But the reality is that call had to be made. That was definitely a foul. There is no question about it. There was a double dribble before that, but that was definitely a foul. And here's why Virginia won the game as opposed to Auburn losing it. Ladies and gentlemen, with 0.6 seconds left, Kyle Guy, 15 points, 5 of 11 shooting, hit all 3 of his free throws for the game. He goes to the line. Those are the only 3 free throws he took. He goes to the line with less than 1 second left in regulation, down 2. And ladies and gentlemen, made all 3 free throws. And when I say he made all 3, I mean he made all 3. I'm not talking about clanking and bouncing in. It touched nothing but the bottom of the net. All 3 shots. He went up there, as God rest his wonderful soul, the great Stuart Scott used to always say, cool as the other side of the pillow. Walked up to the free throw line with less than 1 second left and drained all 3 free throws with ease. With ease. Ladies and gentlemen, that's winning basketball. Kyle Guy deserves our respect for that. That's winning basketball right there. Okay? That's winning basketball. There is no denying that most NBA players in that situation would miss. They missed at least 1, probably some 2, some all 3. Kyle Guy stepped up to the free throw line like it was nobody's business. Like he was Stephen A. B. eating a bag of cheese curls. And he said, let me just give me the ball. And finished the job. So as a result, we've got Virginia going up against Texas Tech, which has the potential to be one of the ugliest national championship games we have ever seen. Ladies and gentlemen, do you understand that there are some people that are predicting both teams will score less than 50 points? Do you realize that? There are people predicting that both teams will score less than 50 apiece. You have any idea what kind of awful basketball, how far back in archaic times this has the potential to take us? This has the potential to take us back to Dean Smith and his 4 corners, when there was no shot clock, where you could spend all day, every day passing the ball and not shooting. This has the potential to be that. I'm prayerful that it won't be. But it does have that potential. I'm not looking forward to tonight's national championship game at all. There's nothing about the national championship game tonight that thrills me. I'm hoping that Culver shows out. I'm hoping that Guy shows out. I'm hoping that both teams score over 80. I'm hoping to see a shootout. I'm hoping to see both teams running and gunning. Here's the problem. These are 2 of the greatest defensive teams in all of college basketball. Their specialty is shutting you down. Their specialty is shutting you down. So I look at it from that perspective and I say, damn it. Oh, wow. That's the way it goes. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. On a baseball matter, just for a distraction for a moment before I get to a little NBA talk, Bill Madden's column yesterday was highlighting the low attendance numbers with the Marlins and Derek Jeter. There's a simple reason for that. Derek Jeter ain't a Marlin. Derek Jeter's a Yankee. South Beach and that Miami area don't give a damn about Derek Jeter. All they cared about was that he was right down the road in Tampa. So they were getting some money from him, although it wasn't in state income tax, because they don't have that in Florida. They don't give a damn about Derek Jeter. We would. New York Yankee fans, die-hard New York Yankee fans, we would. Miami don't care. There's a lot of distractions in South Beach, y'all. You ain't got to go down to watch the Marlins. The other thing that Bill Madden pointed to that I found incredibly intriguing, I must confess, he was talking about Bogarts for the Red Sox and how he agreed to a 6-year, $120 million deal. He was speaking about the money. He didn't mention this, but I'm just bringing up some contracts. That ain't Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, or Mike Trout. I'm bringing up other guys. And you notice that everybody's clamoring for the money right now, and people don't want to go towards free agency. And you're wondering why that is. It's because owners in Major League Baseball ain't spending money the way that they used to. When you look at a guy like Dallas Keuchel, this guy won the Cy Young 3 years ago. He's without a job, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody has signed him. Nobody has signed him. And you look at it from that perspective, a Bogart said, man, $20 million a year, 6 years, $120 million to stay in Boston, which is where I want to be anyway. Take that deal now. Take that deal right now. A Hicks with 10 years, $70 million from the Yankees. Take that deal right now. Take it right now. Along with a host of others. Because this ain't the baseball that it used to be. Where you got a strong players union. And free agency is what it's all about. And nothing should ever compromise that. According to the great Marvin Miller. Well, that has changed. And if you're a New York Yankee fan, this is cause for good news. Because suddenly keeping Aaron Judge isn't expected to be that hard. And a D.D. Gregorius, when he comes back, ain't going to be in a position to command but so much. Well, Bogart's getting what he's getting paid. So this is a good thing. The thing that's fascinating, and you'll say, Stephen A., why are you so fascinated by this story? Oh, my God, what's the big deal? Here's the big deal. Long time ago, stretching into modern history, baseball was always considered to be the privileged sport. Apple pie, white picket fences, America's national pastime, associated more than any other sport with white privilege as ever there was a sport. And then you had a strong players union with players that knew how to stand their ground, that looked at the money that owners were making, and they were like, nah, you're going to take care of us in free agency. You're going to take care of us when we become those prospective free agents. Ain't going to be all of these arbitration cases compromising us and our marketability. Nah, we ain't having that. Times have changed. According to Bill Madden's column, caring about extra time off and chefs in the kitchen inside of clubhouses was a priority over dollars and cents. And now it's coming back to bite the players. And then you know what? And owners are taking advantage. I never thought the day would come when I could say this. But if you really, really think about it, even though nothing's perfect and there are things that you wish that the NBA players will have done differently, and of course the NFL players would have done differently, a legitimate argument could be made that the NBA, with 80% black population, an African American as its president, an African American woman as its executive director, Michelle Roberts, you can make a legitimate argument today, unlike at any other time in the history of sports, that NBA players actually have the better unions. That was never the case before. Hell, at one time, hockey was considered better. At one time, football was considered better. Even when people were complaining about the late, great Eugene Upshaw. The reality is that right now, the NBA union and how players are taken care of seems to be even better than football or baseball. Who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it? 888 say ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. I'll get into some NBA stuff because I'm hearing some stuff by Kyrie in regards to the Knicks and the Lakers that I want to share with you. Hearing the same things about Kevin Durant. You'll want to stay tuned to what I have to say about that. So stick around, don't touch that dial. But before I get into anything, I want to get into this one last story about Zion Williamson. And I don't have the story in front of me, so I'm just going to paraphrase for you. At this particular moment in time, folks are looking into what went down with Zion Williamson because apparently his mother was a consultant for Nike, or she was paid by Nike, this lawyer. And I'll have all the details for you. It was the lawyer that was representing the porn star that allegedly had dalliances with our commander-in-chief. This same lawyer is in trouble due to allegations that he had tried to embezzle some money from Nike. But I'll have all the details for that to refresh my memory about that once we come back from commercial. Here's the reality of this story, or what I want to get into about Zion. There's an uproar because apparently playing at a private institution like Duke, and you can make the argument that Zion, obviously, like most marquee players on the collegiate level, are getting taken care of. So automatically, that breeds the conversation of student athletes being paid. And what's the big deal? First of all, the rules are broken, and you never know how that could affect the program, even though I don't see anything like that happening. Sneaker companies funneling money to programs through AAU programs, stuff like that. This is not new to anybody. But I will tell you this. I am sick and tired. I am absolutely, positively sick and freaking tired of this notion that equality is the rule of the day, that all student athletes should be paid. That is not true. That is not true. Do I think that student athletes should be compensated? Yes. But I keep telling y'all, as I have always told you throughout my career, I am a proud capitalist. That's why I love living in America, and it's the greatest country in the world. I ain't trying to be in Russia. I ain't trying to be in Switzerland. I'm not trying to live in a socialist, a communist, a fascist. Nope, I'm a capitalist. And damn proud of it. And I am of the belief that if you are Zion Williamson and you are at Duke, you deserve to be paid more than the dude from North Dakota. Now, if y'all really think about it, if you really think about who you are and what you are about as you go into that work, as you get up and you pull yourself out of bed every morning and you go to work on a mission to succeed and to be great at what you do with the ultimate goal of being compensated fairly for it, think about this. There are those who deserve more. And there are those who should be happy with what they get. Zion Williamson and the Duke basketball program. Do you really think that the students at North Dakota deserve to be paid the same? Or Boise for basketball? If you play in Alabama football, do you really think that the football team at St. John's, assuming they have one, deserves to get paid the same amount of money? There are those who should receive a stipend. There are those who should be paid more. And then there are those who should be happy with the damn scholarship they have. That's the real world. Let's stop acting like we don't know it, please. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You are listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage in America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. If you haven't tried the incredible high-quality meat from ButcherBox, you're going to be blown away. ButcherBox delivers 100% grass-fed and grass-finished beef, free-range organic chicken, and heritage breed pork right to your door. They work closely with the best farms and companies committed to raising animals humanely. From grass-fed beef to free-range organic chicken to wild-caught sockeye salmon from Bristol Bay, Alaska, ButcherBox has over 20 different cuts of meat to choose from, with customizable boxes and a variety of other options to choose from. And ButcherBox also comes at an affordable price as well. With free shipping, you can get a month's worth of the best-tasting meat from ButcherBox for less than $6 a meal. ButcherBox is offering my listeners the ultimate breakfast bundle. 2 packs of the best-tasting bacon you've ever had and 2 pounds of their custom breakfast sausage, plus $20 off your first box when you sign up at butcherbox.com/Stephen A. That's butcherbox.com/Stephen A. That's with a PH, not a V. Back to your calls and maybe a few guests. Stick around. Don't touch that dial. It's Stephen A. coming right at you. Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. The Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Barbasol. Hey, sports fans. Barbasol is offering you a chance to score big when you join the Barbasol Shave Club. Grab your premium starter kit for just $1.99 today with code SHAVE at barbasol.com. Jonathan, stop laughing at me. Look, ladies and gentlemen, there is no truth whatsoever to these bogus rumors that I jumped on a basketball court in Philadelphia last night and stopped the fight between Eric Bledsoe and Joel Embiid. That was not me. Okay? It was not me. I was on the other side of the arena. First of all, I'm a little lighter in weight. I must admit, the head is about that size and so is the hairline. So I can understand the plausible mistake. But we live in an age of technology where you can zoom in and zoom out. Zoom in, as my man Kevin Hart would say, and zoom out. You could see that that's not me. I'm not jumping into the middle of this pit bull that is Eric Bledsoe, along with the 7'1" Joel Embiid. I'm not jumping in the middle of that. I did not at all run onto the court and stop a fight between Bledsoe and Embiid. It was not me. I cannot believe that this stuff has gone viral. I cannot believe that people have been talking about it all over social media. I cannot believe that I got bosses sitting up there wanting to call me into their office because they thought it was me jumping onto the court instead of leaving such responsibilities to the great NBA security members that the National Basketball Association has. It was not me. I was in the arena in the back. I was in the media room drinking some lemonade. And then after that, I came out and saw Allen Iverson. And if you don't believe that, check social media because he put a picture of him and I hugging on the damn social media. Okay? It was not me. I did no such thing. But I got to tell you, damn, from a distance, it did look like me. I have to admit.
Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
My screen put up here so I can see these phone calls. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. The Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Pennzoil Synthetics, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. So make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Waiting for my calls to show up on the screen. Before I do that, they are not up. They're not up on the screen. But before I do any of that, let me go back to this case involving lawyer Michael Avenatti. If y'all recall, he is the lawyer that's known for representing Stormy Daniels, the porn star who allegedly was involved with Donald Trump before he was president of the United States. Avenatti gained widespread notoriety in the past year for representing her in lawsuits against the president and his former lawyer, Michael Cohen. That's where he gained a lot of his notoriety from. He was charged in New York last month for trying to extort millions of dollars from Nike by threatening to take his allegations public. Here's what I think that the part about Michael Avenatti that's kind of funny because he don't realize it. He's facing extortion charges, and he upped the ante in his feud with Nike over the weekend, dumping 41 pages of documents, which he claims are evidence showing a retailer bribed players to attend Nike colleges. So you have evidence. So basically, I mean, it seems more plausible since you're throwing them out there in public. Now that, you're facing extortion charges, it seems more obvious that that's exactly what you were trying to do against Nike. It serves to incriminate him further, if y'all understand what I'm saying. If you're dumping the pages for public consumption to show that you had evidence about Nike doling out dollars and bribes to folks and lying to the government about it for years, as Michael Avenatti said, if that's what you're saying now publicly, then what's the chances are you said it to them privately and wanted to get some money for them out of it, which it would be extortion. That's exactly what extortion would be last time I checked. If there's a different definition for it, please feel free to educate me, you law students or lawyers out there. That's my definition of extortion. Somebody has committed a crime. Rather than reporting it to the authorities, what you decide to do is reach out to them yourself and threaten to take the information, either public or to proper law enforcement officials, unless they pay you off. Last time I checked, I think that's the epitome of extortion. So I'm at a loss as to how revealing such a thing he perceives as something that would help him. But he also made allegations against Duke University's Zion Williamson, and according to reports, basically saying that a family member was getting paid. I'm very Avenatti, to be specific, made allegations claiming Zion Williamson's mother, Sharonda Sampson, received payments from Nike during her son's recruitment when he was attending high school in South Carolina. Williamson plays for the Duke Blue Devils. Duke's director of athletics, Kevin White, said in a statement that the university is looking into the allegations regarding Williamson and his mother. Quote, "We are aware of the allegation and, as we would with any compliance matter, are looking into it. Duke is fully committed to compliance with all NCAA rules and regulations. Every student athlete at Duke is reviewed to ensure their eligibility. With regard to men's basketball, all recruits and their families are thoroughly vetted by Duke in collaboration with the NCAA through the Eligibility Center's amateurism certification process." That's what they said. Here's what Nike said. Nike will not respond to the allegations of an individual facing federal charges of fraud and extortion and aid in his disgraceful attempts to distract from the athletes on the court at the height of the tournament. Nike will continue its cooperation with the government's investigation into grassroots basketball and a related extortion case. Ladies and gentlemen, worst kept secret in the world is that athletes are taken care of on a collegiate level. Elite athletes. Why? Because everybody knows that the NCAA, being the flagrant hypocrites that they are, doing very, very little to nothing to take care of marquee revenue-generating athletes, keeping so much of the money for themselves. Everyone knows that you find a way to take care of these guys. How they, I don't know what rules, if any, specifically were broken or whatever, but this is not a secret. So let's just get our head out of the sand and just deal with that for what it is, please. 888-SAY-ESPN. That is the number to call up. Let's go to Jason. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Jason?
Hi, Stephen. I'm just calling you today to, number one, hope you're having a good day, and I really enjoy your comment about, how Kyle Guy made those free throws. And I'll agree with you and elaborate because what I'm saying here is I'm practically blind. I can't see. And so, I listened on the radio to that clip, and I think I listened to it when it was live. And, it was just one of those things where when you can't see, you hear the crowd, you hear them roaring, and you hear the swish every time he made it. And it's like, I know it's got to be a lot of pressure he's under to do that because obviously the opposing crowd is they're going to do what they can to get him off his game, and he didn't let that happen. So, and even the timeout after the second free throw, ice cold. He's still ice cold in there. And so, it's one of those things that I can't imagine, going through something like that to make it to a title game. And at worst, at best, if you miss one, you're going to overtime pretty much. So, I just want to say thanks for making the comment so audible and so understandable by hearing. And that's actually something all of you guys at the ESPN radio, from commentators to all that other stuff, that's something you're all doing really well, and I encourage you to keep it up.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the call. Thank you. Very, very kind words on your part. Appreciate it. Leo, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Hello, am I on?
Yes, you are. You're on live, Leo. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask you what you think about the one and done rule with the NCAA.
I think it stinks. I think it stinks.
But you think the one and done rule stinks?
Yes, I do. I don't like it. Here's what I believe. I believe a player, and see, here's the problem with your question, Leo. You're asking me about just the NCAA when I think it involves both the NCAA and the NBA. I believe that any athlete should be allowed to come directly out of high school to the pros. But I also believe that if you come to college, you should have to commit 2 years. Either commit 2 years or don't come at all. In football, they got to commit 3. You can't go to the NFL after a year or 2 in college. If I remember correctly, you gotta serve at least 2 years, 3 years. You can't play 1 year and then be eligible for the NFL draft. Can't do it. It's a man's game, and I understand that. But what I'm saying to you is, it's college basketball, and it's big time money, big time programs. I don't believe don't come at all, or come and commit 2 years. That's my belief.
Well, personally, I think that without the one and done rule, Zion Williamson probably would have been destroyed in the NBA. I think that he needed that year to get his skills better.
Well, he needed that year to get his skills better, and he needed that year to be the number 1 overall pick. But I still believe he definitely would have been a top 10 pick, and I don't believe he would have gotten destroyed. You know why? Because I think that he has skills comparable to some cats on the NBA. And you know what they don't have that he has, Leo?
What?
280 pounds.
That's true. He's a big guy.
With a 45-inch vertical leap. Somebody like John Moran and others might have needed that time because of their slight frame. 280-plus pounds with a 45-inch vertical leap, and you can play, you don't need that. You'll be fine.
Yeah, but I think personally that without that one and done rule, I think Zion Williamson would have been as big of a bust as Sam Bowie was back then.
Well, I'm telling you, you're wrong. That's the most ignorant thing. How old are you, Leo? Now, how old are you? Before I jump on you, how old are you? Because you sound young and ignorant. How old are you?
I'm 19.
Oh, I forgive you. Don't worry about it. You're a young whippersnapper. You don't know any better. First of all, what the hell are you doing bringing up Sam Bowie? And that happened before you were even born.
Yeah, well, I'm a Chicago Bulls fan myself.
Look, Leo. Sam Bowie being a bust. Sam Bowie was drafted in '84, number 2 overall, right before Michael Jordan. And you're 19. This happened 15 years before your birth. And you're speaking intelligently about that? Stop it, Leo. Your dad told you that, didn't he? Did your dad or your grandpa, somebody told you that, didn't they? Did they tell you that? Tell the truth.
It was my father. My father's an
all
older
right, that's
fan.
no problem. Listen, it's none of this, though, Leo. You consider yourself a member of the family, brother. You can call back anytime. I'm just saying you're young. You're young, and you know what? I forgive you because you're listening to your dad, and you should listen to your daddy. You should listen to your daddy. So I don't mind that at all. That's okay, Leo. But I'm just telling you, no way on earth Zion Williamson would have been a bigger bust than Sam Bowie. You can't get that bad. I got to run. I appreciate the call. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. This is Stephen A. Live over the airways of ESPN Radio and ESPN News. By the way, if you missed any of my opening segment, go check it out on demand in the Stephen A. Smith podcast, brought to you by the Capital One Saver Card. Earn 4% cash back on dining and entertainment, 2% at grocery stores, and 1% on all other purchases. Hey! What's in your wallet? The Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Barbasol. Hey, sports fans. Barbasol is offering you a chance to score big when you join the Barbasol Shave Club. Grab your premium starter kit for just $1.99 today with code SHAVE. Why the hell are you talking in front of the cameras with your mouths closed at that particular moment in time? You know why? Because you're trying to garner attention and bring attention to yourself for whatever reason that may be. This is what I mean. One of the things that I mean about LeBron, his insatiable appetite to control the narrative. You ain't playing anymore this season. You need rest. You missed 18 games. The groin injury. You came back, reminded us of your greatness, but Magic Johnson and the Lakers have elected to sit you down. Why would you feel the need to talk on a basketball court? You know why? Because you want the damn attention. That's why. You want people talking about you. That's why. You want your Instagram and Twitter and Facebook followers built and proliferated even more. That's why. That's all I'm saying. There's no criming that. I wish I had more followers. There's no criming it. There's no crime in it at all. But don't deny it if somebody asked you. There's no reason for them to be on the court talking with the cameras zeroed in on them unless they wanted the damn attention. Well, if that's what you wanted, don't whine, moan, and you know what, when you get the attention that you clearly craved. Now, as for them playing together in L.A., people are ruling that out. They can't see it. Me neither, but only because I don't see Kevin Durant trying to help LeBron James win more titles. I think Kevin Durant would prefer to go someplace else so he could win more titles than LeBron. That's me. But would I completely rule it out? No. I think a lot of these cats want to live in Southern California. I think the thought of Durant with LeBron would be spectacular. I think that's instant title contention. I think if you're Kevin Durant and you're going to leave the Splash Brothers and go to State, why wouldn't you want to go to L.A.? If you're Kevin Durant, who would you rather play with, Kyrie Irving or LeBron? Who should you rather play with, Kyrie Irving or LeBron? And so Kevin Durant, leaving all his options open. This is what we're talking about. And whether or not that materializes into something remains to be seen.
Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
Tulips of spring from 1-800-Flowers.com. To order 30 assorted tulips for just $30, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. Nick, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, Stephen A? How's it going,
all right,
bro?
man. You only got a minute. Go ahead, buddy.
Okay. I know on several occasions you alluded to tonight's championship game is not the matchup that you wanted to see.
Hell no.
But I'm going to tell you something, man. I think with the element of surprise, and you know how sports is, you might get a shootout tonight instead
I
of
hope you're right.
who's going to get to 50.
But you do know, Nick, it's no disrespect to the teams. They're both elite defensively. But they're so elite defensively that I think they're going to shut down each other, and we're going to get an ugly game because of it. That is my fear.
Yeah, but like on top of that, like you said, you know the element of sports. You know you got to expect the unexpected.
Please. In most instances, you're right on the money with what you expected. The fact of the matter is surprises are overrated, meaning they don't happen nearly as often as people think they do. And that's what I think we can't ignore. But, Nick, I got to run. I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. 888-SAY ESPN is the number to call. We're going to go to hour number 2. We're going to get into LeBron. We're going to get into Kyrie. We're going to get into Kevin Durant. The list goes on and on, so stick around. Don't touch that dial. Plus some Antonio Brown news as well in the National Football League. I tell you, man, it never ends. It never ends. Hour number 2 with Stephen A. up next.
Host, the Stephen A. Smith Show starts right now.
Smith Show here with you over the airwaves of ESPN Radio and ESPN News. 250 plus markets across the United States of America, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM Channel 80, plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Credit Karma. Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma today. That's Credit Karma, K-A-R-M-A. Get knowing. Plus, need seats to a game? Download the Vivid Seats app and enter promo code CHAMPS at checkout to get 10% off your first order. Don't buy just any seat. Get a Vivid Seat. Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show. Lots of stuff to get into. Got into a few things. The national championship game tonight, Texas Tech, Virginia. I'm picking Texas Tech. Got into a little bit about Zion Williamson and the allegations made by Michael Avenatti, the attorney for porn star Stormy Daniels, and her lawsuit case against the president, Donald Trump, at the time, along with Michael Cohen, his lawyer. We got into that a little bit. I talked about that. And I will continue to talk about those things, and I'll continue to take your calls on all of those things. But I got a whole bunch of other stuff to get into, so I'm just going to go through it relatively quickly. Antonio Brown, formerly of the Pittsburgh Steelers for the Oakland Raiders, came out and said some of the things, to be quite honest with you, that I thought were completely and totally uncalled for. It really, really was. He has departed from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He maneuvered his way out of there because he wanted to get more money, and he didn't want to be in a situation where he didn't have any guaranteed dollars coming his way. And so what he did was essentially called out Juju Smith-Schuster. Called out Juju Smith-Schuster because Juju Smith-Schuster is a 22-year-old receiver. He's going to be a number one receiver in the game. Never said a negative word about Antonio Brown. Never said a negative word about Antonio Brown. But Antonio Brown got at him when he was complimentary about the leader that Big Ben Roethlisberger was, his quarterback, and how he was looking forward to this upcoming season playing with him. And Antonio Brown goes on Twitter yesterday and continues. He says, emotion. Boy fumbled the whole postseason in the biggest game of the year. Everyone went blind, too busy making guys famous, not enough reality these days. By the way, check the list. I forgot exactly why he felt the need to send Juju Smith-Schuster that that tweet, rather. But it was clearly disrespectful. And Juju Smith-Schuster, I don't have the tweet in front of me, but to paraphrase, he was like, damn shame. You support a brother and he comes at you like that. What did you say, Kat? I'm talking to my producer here. The bottom line is that these are the kind of things that we're talking about here. And it leaves you somewhat flabbergasted, to say the least. I must admit. It really, really does. You just find yourself shaking your head at some of the stuff that Antonio Brown finds himself in. Because it really, really doesn't make any sense for him to find himself in these situations. You wanted to get out of Pittsburgh. You went from having no guaranteed dollars under the same contract to getting out of Pittsburgh and having $30 million in guarantees. So he said that quote that I just read to y'all about Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju Smith-Schuster responded, all I ever did was show that man love and respect from the moment I got into the league. I was genuinely happy for him, too, when he got traded to Oakland with a big contract. And now he takes shots at me on social media. Crazy how big that ego got to be to take shots at people who show you love. Shaking my head. That's what Antonio Brown said. I'm sorry, that Juju Smith said in response to Antonio Brown. And as a result, you got guys like Houston Texans safety Reed. I think it's Justin Reed. Okay? That's saying he can't wait. Justin Reed, that's it. He said, I respect his game, talking about Antonio Brown, but I can't wait to smash this dude. No need for that. Eric Weddle, formerly of the Baltimore Ravens, no need for that. Showing true colors right now. No respect for this dude. That's what he said. And you have no doubt there's other players in the National Football League who feel the same way. Antonio Brown's the best receiver in football as far as I'm concerned. Him and Julio Jones are the two best receivers in all of football. But the reality is that you know what? What are you going to do if Derek Carr can't get you the football? What you going to do if you don't like the play calling of John Gruden? What you going to do? Who you going to call out next? I personally love Antonio Brown, the player. I actually like him as a person, but I think that he's been wrong this whole offseason. And I think his behavior is completely uncalled for. I really do. And in the interest of full disclosure, I texted him and told him that. It's ridiculous. Juju Smith-Schuster's 22 years old. He has never said a negative word about Antonio Brown. Ever. Ever. I've interviewed him several times. He has never said a negative word about Antonio Brown. I actually think Juju Smith-Schuster's going to end up having a better season than Antonio Brown because Antonio Brown doesn't have Big Ben throwing him the football anymore, and I don't think Derek Carr is Big Ben Roethlisberger. Derek Carr is pretty damn good. Derek Carr has completed 62.8% of his passes for his career. Completed nearly 69% last season, threw for over 4,000 yards, threw 19 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. But I think when you look at Derek Carr's career, a 32-46 record overall as a quarterback, he knows how to pad his numbers, but does he know how to win? He's never played in the postseason, got hurt his MVP caliber year when he went 12-3 as a starter and got hurt in the second to last game of the season. I don't know if Derek Carr is going to get it done. I'm hopeful. But I don't know if he's going to get it done. And what's Antonio Brown going to do then? So it's something worth considering. 888-SAY-ESPN is 888-729-3776. Something else I wanted to get to. Before I do that, I'll give you a side nugget, some information I've come across. I'm told Kyrie Irving will grant the Lakers an interview in the summer. The Lakers will have an opportunity to get Kyrie Irving to come to L.A. I didn't say he's coming to L.A. I did not say that. I don't know what he's going to do. But during his free agent tour, I'm told he's going to give the Lakers an interview. Which, by the way, is very big news because LeBron James is already there for the next 3 years. And this man left Cleveland because he didn't want to play with LeBron James. So the fact that, from what I'm being told, that he's willing to give the Lakers an interview, if he's willing to spend time and talk to the Lakers and give it consideration, that's a long way from the Kyrie Irving that left Cleveland and left LeBron in Cleveland. So that's point number 2. Point number 3, all these reports about Kevin Durant being a done deal, it's not a done deal. I don't care what promises people are saying Kevin Durant has made. Ain't nothing done. Excuse the lack of grammar. I'm exercising a double negative for effect and accentuation. Ain't nothing guaranteed with Kevin Durant until it's done. I don't give a damn what Kevin Durant says he's going to do. Until it's done, it ain't done. I told you I once had somebody close to Kevin Durant said, he's a sensitive dude, good dude, beautiful brother, sensitive dude. He's the kind of dude that can get caught up in emotions. He'll make a decision, and then when it's time, he might change his mind. That's what they said. Ain't done till it's done. So everybody that think he and Kyrie are coming to New York, well, guess what? If it was a foregone conclusion, Kyrie coming to New York, why are the Lakers expecting to have an opportunity to sit down with him? Because that's what I'm being told. The Lakers are expecting to have an opportunity to sit down with Kyrie Irving this summer. Why is that? And by the way, speaking of this, staying with the Lakers for a second, I want to state this. And particularly to the LA listeners at 710 ESPN LA. I don't give a damn what I know about the Lakers. I don't know more than John Ireland. I would strongly advise anybody who's listening to anything about the Lakers, listen to my man, my buddy John Ireland, who works right here at 710 ESPN LA, which is where I'm at for the next couple of days. Man's got an afternoon drive show here in LA, and the man calls every Lakers game. I get my information, I hear what I hear, no question about it. I would encourage you to listen to John Ireland. Respect that man. Profoundly so, I might add. But I say all of that to say this to you. Some things people may choose to touch on, some people may not. I have nothing against Rob Pelinka, the general manager for the Los Angeles Lakers. Always been nice to me. We've always had a good relationship. I love Kobe. That's my brother. He speaks to the brilliance of Rob Pelinka. I'm going to listen. Because Kobe don't suffer fools. But I'm here to tell you something. Lakers have got to get either somebody that's experienced with Magic and Rob Pelinka, or they have to replace Rob Pelinka. And I would prefer the former. Because I think Rob Pelinka could do some special things for this Lakers organization. I think that Magic can as well. But they're both novices. And you cannot have two novices, meaning guys that just started at their jobs. No prior experience until having this job. You cannot have two guys in the LA market in those positions with nobody with experience in that clique and flourish against the Clippers in LA. It cannot happen. The Clippers have a owner with over $30 to $40 billion in Steve Ballmer. Lawrence Frank, your VP of basketball operations, was a head coach in the NBA for years and an assistant as well. This man knows his basketball and knows talent and is very well connected, along with the people that he has with him. You have an exceptional coach, a candidate for coach of the year, arguably the coach of the year in some people's mind, in Doc Rivers, who's a champion, by the way. I mean, damn it, even their PR department is big time. Let me tell you something about the Clippers. You better not ignore them. You better not ignore them. Not only do I think Kawhi might end up there, I think he might have company. A la Kevin Durant. I wouldn't put it past him. I'm telling y'all right now, it would be a mistake to underestimate the Clippers. And because of that, particularly with the great Jerry West having the ear of the billionaire owner, it makes it that much more pivotal that Rob Pelinka and Magic Johnson get help. You don't get help, they going down. You heard what I said. 888-ESPN, it's 888-729-3776. Last but not least, before I get back to the phones, Paul Pierce, the truth. A champion with the Boston Celtics, an all-star, a future Hall of Famer, a basketball analyst for ESPN who does a great job for us. Got a lot of love for Paul Pierce and the job that he does. But he said something that he should not have said. And it was pertaining to a comparison made between him and Dwayne Wade, who, by the way, last game in Miami is tomorrow night, where I was supposed to be before I had prior commitments, before I had commitments that I had to honor. I'm sorry. This is what Paul Pierce had to say about those comparisons. Listen to this.
That's easy. I can say that off the bat. That's me. If you give me Shaq, if you give me LeBron,
he did. Call the big three.
We got that late, but like early in my career.
I mean, what are you doing right now?
If you give me these guys early in my career.
Let me ask you this. What would have been a perfect time for you, Paul? Let's make sure we get this right.
I was 24 years old.
Okay.
You give me Shaq. When I'm 24, 25, you give me LeBron and Bosh. I'll be sitting on 5 or 6 championships. Easy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. How can I peel this apart in the most respectful way imaginable? I'm going to try. And if I don't, Paul Pierce, my apologies to you. But that was some blasphemous stuff came out of your mouth. Now, Paul Pierce, a champion that went to 2 finals, wants to sit up there and say, as a talent, I believe I was better than Dwayne Wade. I have no issue with that. Dwayne Wade was a 2-guard. Paul Pierce was a small forward, basically. Paul Pierce was a closer. Paul Pierce had a set shot, jump shot. Paul Pierce was a scoring machine, at least for 3 years in his career. Career 19-point per game scorer. Clearly a Hall of Famer, no doubt. But you were no Dwayne Wade. Let's just pump the brakes on this. Okay? Now I'm going to throw y'all some numbers just to get it out the way. It's not really my position, but I'm just going to throw it out the way. Paul Pierce 1 championships, Dwayne Wade 3 championships. Paul Pierce 1 championship in 19 years, Dwayne Wade 3 championships in 16 years. Playoffs played, Paul Pierce 14 times, Dwayne Wade 13 times. 14 times in 19 years, 13 times in 16 years. Dwayne Wade, percentage-wise, better. All-Star games. Paul Pierce, 10. Dwayne Wade, 13. Finals MVP, both of them had one. All-NBA first team, Dwayne Wade, twice. Paul Pierce, never. All-NBA teams, Dwayne Wade, 8. Paul Pierce, 4. All-defensive teams, Dwayne Wade, 3 times. Paul Pierce, never. Scoring leader, scoring champion, Dwayne Wade once. Paul Pierce, never. Stats per game, Dwayne Wade, 22 a game, more than Paul Pierce, 22-19. Paul Pierce barely averaged more rebounds. Dwayne Wade averaged more assists. Both were even in steals. Basically, Dwayne Wade is at 1.5, Paul Pierce at 1.3. Both were even in blocks as well. Dwayne Wade 0.0, 0.8, Paul Pierce 0.6. Paul Pierce finishes his career with more total points, played 3 more seasons. More total rebounds, played 3 more seasons. Less assists, even in steals, basically. Actually, Paul Pierce had about 100 more assists, 130 more assists. Dwayne Wade had more blocks. Paul Pierce played 291 more games than Dwayne Wade. Here's the deal. If Paul Pierce said to me, I think I was a better player than Dwayne Wade, meaning a better talent as a scorer or whatever, I wouldn't agree with him, but I wouldn't be offended by it. I wouldn't be. What I would tell you, however, is this. Where Paul Pierce was absolutely blasphemous, is to say his career was better. You did not have a better career. It's 2 different categories. You did not have a better career than Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade won more titles. Even though Paul Pierce deserved Finals MVP, he wasn't what Dwayne Wade was against Dallas in those Final 4 games in the NBA Finals back in 2006. Paul Pierce lucked up by Danny Ainge being gift-wrapped Kevin Garnett by Kevin McHale, who was then an executive with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Dwayne Wade recruited LeBron and Bosh to Miami. When we talk about off guards, we talk about MJ. We talk about Kobe. Now we're talking about Harden. D. Wade is in that discussion. Over a 10-year period, there was an argument that was being made as to whether or not D. Wade was one of the top 5 players in all of basketball. Paul Pierce was never a part of that discussion. Ever. He was an all-star. He was a closer. He's a Hall of Famer. Somebody who demands a sincere respect. The truth shall make you free. And he certainly did it. But he ain't telling the truth here. Paul Pierce was many things. And a champion. Big moments never fazed him. He was special. He was special offensively. He wasn't special defensively. Not like D. Wade was. And he wasn't special over the length of period of time. There was a time, 10 years, 7 or 8 of those years, D. Wade was in the discussion. Top 5, top 10 player in the game. That wasn't Paul Pierce. So I'm just saying all of that to say, let's pump the brakes. And oh, by the way, congratulations to the Vlade Divacs of the world for being in the Basketball Hall of Fame, getting nominated for the Basketball Hall of Fame. Here's my problem with it. I'm starting to lose faith in the Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, there are guys that are going to the Hall of Fame because of what they did in Europe, in concert with what they ultimately did in the NBA or college basketball. I got news for you. There should be a Hall of Fame for the NBA. Because some of these guys that are in the Hall of Fame would never be in the Hall of Fame if it was just based on their NBA career. Chris Webber is going to the Hall of Fame someday. And Chris Webber deserves it. because of the Fab Five and because of numbers. But when you look at some of the Hall of Famers and you take away college and you just look at his NBA game in terms of numbers, well, there's a question mark there. I'd still put him in. But I never got over the fact that the basketball was like a damn hot potato in the Western Conference Finals with Sacramento in 2002 when you're going up against the Lakers in Game 5. He wanted no parts of that moment. Just like Mark Jackson joked about John Starks having to go through the free throw line against Indiana in the playoffs, and they said they looked at John Starks. John Starks wanted no part of those free throws. When Reggie Miller was taunting him. I don't care about Reggie Miller's lack of championships. That brother was a closer. He was deadly. And you put the ball in his hands when it was time, he'd deliver. Cats like that, you don't teach it. I know what I see. And some of these guys that get in the Hall of Fame, Vlade Divac's a Hall of Famer because he's from Europe and what he means to basketball and what he did in basketball. There's nothing about Vlade Divac's NBA career that warrants Hall of Fame. Let's just call it what it is. But I respect him. And congratulations to him. Manu Ginobili, winner, champion. So I got no problems with him. But numbers-wise, some people will look at him and say no. NBA-wise, but what he did coming over from Europe and championships and all the little things that he did, I mean, please. Numbers go out the window because Dennis Rodman didn't have him when it came to points. He was a rebounding demon and a defensive wizard. But I'm just saying this meshing of the Basketball Hall of Fame, I don't like the Basketball Hall of Fame because I think that there should be a category for NBA. There are guys that are in the NBA that are in the Basketball Hall of Fame and based solely on their NBA careers have no business in there. If the NBA is the greatest basketball league in the world, and you didn't perform well on this level, why should you be in the same hall that has Michael and Magic and Bird and Isaiah and Julius Erving and all of these boys in there? Why should you be in there? And Shaq and AI and all these. Why should you be in there if you didn't play on that near that kind of level in the NBA? But that's just me. I might be being too controversial right now. I guess that's not good, Steve. Because after all, I don't have content. There's no substance to what I'm saying. I'm just loud. Don't you listen to my critics? I'm just loud. I didn't cover the NBA for the past 25 years. I wasn't a beat writer for 15 years. I didn't break more stories in 1 year than most people did in their careers. I didn't do those things. No, I'm just loud. I didn't do internships that were unpaid. I didn't work my way up and get promoted 11 times. No, I didn't do those things. I'm just talking. So what do I know? What do I know? 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. I don't have a resume. I'm just on the air. Privileged that ESPN would find it within their good old heart to give me a job. Because all of these people out there deserve it, but not me. Okay. That's how it goes. 888-SAY-ESPN. Back to your calls in a minute. You listen live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. When you're hiring, you don't want to waste time sorting through dozens of irrelevant resumes, do you? You want an efficient way to get to a short list of qualified candidates. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes, set up screening questions based on your job requirements, then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. Discover why 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Search for greatness. Search Indeed. Jonathan, stop laughing at me. Look, ladies and gentlemen, there is no truth whatsoever to these bogus rumors that I jumped on a basketball court in Philadelphia last night and stopped the fight between Eric Bledsoe and Joel Embiid. That was not me. Okay? It was not me. I was on the other side of the arena. First of all, I'm a little lighter in weight. I must admit, the head is about that size, and so is the hairline. So I can understand the plausible mistake. But we live in an age of technology where you can zoom in and zoom out. Zoom in, as my man Kevin Hart would say, and zoom out. You could see that that's not me. I'm not jumping into the middle of this pit bull that is Eric Bledsoe, along with the 7'1" Joel Embiid. I'm not jumping in the middle of that. I did not at all run onto the court and stop a fight between Bledsoe and Embiid. It was not me. I cannot believe that this stuff has gone viral. I cannot believe that people have been talking about it all over social media. I cannot believe that I got bosses sitting up there wanting to call me into their office because they thought it was me jumping onto the court instead of leaving such responsibilities to the great NBA security members that the National Basketball Association has. It was not me. I was in the arena in the back. I was in the media room drinking some lemonade. And then after that, I came out and saw Allen Iverson. And if you don't believe that, check social media because he put a picture of him and I hugging on the damn social media. Okay? It was not me. I did no such thing. But I got to tell you, damn, from a distance, it did look like me. I have to admit.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is being presented by Progressive's Home Insurance. Get your quote at Progressive.com today. Plus, tune into the College Basketball Awards Show Friday, April 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on ESPN2. Presented by Wendy's, proud sponsor of the 2019 John R. Wooden Player of the Year Award. Before I go any further, I want to make sure that I give a special shout-out to our college basketball team. Reese Davis, Coach Seth Greenberg, Jay Billis, and my brother, Jay Williams. I just want to say that, you know, I love March Madness, one of my favorite times of the year, and I love seeing Barkley and Kenny Smith and the great, phenomenal Ernie Johnson contribute to the college basketball scene, along with my man Clark Kellogg, who's been doing it for years, foremost authority on the sport of college basketball, does a phenomenal job. But I can't say enough about the job that our team at ESPN has done. It's unsolicited. Nobody has asked me to. They're buddies of mine. But to just watch them on the air doing what they do and enlightening us all the way that they do. I mean, Jay Williams, Jay Billis, Seth Greenberg, Reese Davis, they're so incredibly knowledgeable. And I remember when I was there, a couple of Final Fours with them, just on the set, on the podium with them. And it truly epitomized why I enjoyed myself so much. Because when you're a part of a team and you're a part of a great team, like they are, and you're just paying a visit, you're like a guest. And they treated me like a guest. And I'm so appreciative of it because it was so great to be working with them. And just to sit at home during this March Madness, watching these guys perform and enlighten us. Of course, Dickie V is the incomparable Dickie V, the one and only. But I'm just saying, those guys that do College Game Day for us, they're just phenomenal. And I just want to tip my cap to them. They do a great, great job. And they've done a great, great job. And I think ESPN should really, really be proud. I know I'm honored to call them colleagues and friends. They've done a great, great job. I just wanted to say that. The other thing I wanted to talk about was Muffet McGraw, the coach at Notre Dame. Her team lost by 1 point to Baylor, unfortunately. But congratulations to Baylor, no question. But here's the deal. Before that game, Muffet McGraw gave a statement to the press, and she was talking about women and athletics and women in the world today. And her quote was so profound, I felt obligated to make sure I re-aired it for listeners out there so you could hear this yourself. Listen to the coach of Notre Dame basketball, women's basketball, talk about women in the world of sports and women in the world, period. Listen to this.
I'm getting tired of the novelty of the first female governor of this state, the first female African-American mayor of this city. When is it going to become the norm instead of the exception. How are these young women looking up and seeing someone that looks like them, preparing them for the future? We don't have enough female role models. We don't have enough visible women leaders. We don't have enough women in power. Girls are socialized to know when they come out, gender roles are already set. Men run the world. Men have the power. Men make the decisions. It's always the men that is the stronger one. And when these girls are coming out, who are they looking up to tell them that that's not the way it has to be? And where better to do that than in sports? All these millions of girls that play sports across the country, they could come out every day, and we're teaching them great things about life skills. But wouldn't it be great if we could teach them to watch how women lead? This is a path for you to take to get to the point where in this country we have 50% of women in power. We have right now less than 5% of women are CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. So yes, when you look at men's basketball and 99% of the jobs go to men, why shouldn't 100 or 99% of the jobs in women's basketball go to women? Maybe it's because we only have 10% women athletic directors in Division I. People hire people who look like them, and that's the problem.
Bravo. She is 1,000% on the money. A matter of fact, John, if you don't mind, do me a favor. Reach out to that wonderful woman. I would love to have her on my show at one point and interview her about this very, very topic, because she's right. Now, I can tell you that as an African-American male, we certainly can debate. When you talk about bias and prejudice and being pigeonholed and held back, my personal belief is nobody has black men beat in that category. Nobody. One can make the argument that affirmative action, which was supposed to be something that benefited minorities, benefited women, particularly white women, because they were labeled a minority, more so than it benefited African Americans. Those are things that have been said. I've not looked at those numbers, so I don't definitively know. I know what has been told to me by educators as it pertains to that particular category. But that glosses over the bigger point that Muffy McGraw was making. And that is this. She is 1,000% correct. There are not enough women in power. Women have been marginalized and pigeonholed. And quite frankly, it's kind of embarrassing when men religiously will admit women are smarter than us. They just are. They just are. They're more in tune with their emotions. And a lot of times when they're in leadership positions, they handle stuff a hell of a lot better than men. So I wouldn't say it needs to be a 50-50 split per se, but maybe it does. But I will tell you where it's undeniable she's right. If 99% of the men or 100% of the men are coaching men's sports, how come the same isn't applicable to women? The fact of the matter is, I said this morning on First Take. My television show on ESPN with Max Kellerman and Molly Kieran airs every weekday from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Time, 7 to 9 a.m. Pacific. I said it this morning, and I'll say it again. I have always had a problem with men coaching women's sports. We got enough. As men, I'm talking about white, black, Latino, Asian, doesn't matter. As men, the male species, we have enough. Why is it that we have to be coaching women's basketball? Gino Oriana is phenomenal. He's a winner. I have always had a problem with the fact that he ain't the coach of the men's UConn team. I believe women should be coaching women's sports because you don't give them an opportunity to coach the men. It's like, damn, why can't the women do that? These women play. And when they play, after they play, they want to coach. I'm appalled when I see men with female assistants for women's basketball. And that's no knock against Gino at all, because I love him, and he's phenomenal. It's not his fault. I'm not blaming any individual. I'm simply saying systemically, don't believe men should be coaching women's sports unless you're going to have women coaching men's sports. Where's the female head basketball coach in the NBA or college basketball? Where are they in NFL or college football? Where the hell are they? And if they're not there, why should we be in their domain? Can't they have something? It's ridiculous. I just thought that needed to be said. Muffin McGraw is absolutely right. And she has a supporter in me with that statement because she's right on the money. Period. Mel, you're live with Stephen A. Real quick, go.
A brother from a different mother. Big time follower, first time caller, brother. Calling from Youngstown, Ohio.
Okay.
The home of the next president of the United States.
My man, I got to go to commercial real quick. I need you to get to your point real fast, buddy. I'm sorry.
All right, brother.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I just want to give a shout out to all the women. And your first caller.
My man, I gotta go. I gotta go. You're taking too long. I apologize. I gotta be abrupt. I deeply appreciate the kind words. I deeply appreciate your sentiments, but you weren't ready to talk. So I gotta go. I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. By the way, I don't know if any of you know a girl by the name of Stephanie Reddy. One of my boys just texted me that's connected to the NBA. Stephanie Reddy is wonderful. Wonderful woman. Absolutely wonderful. And a brilliant basketball mind, by the way. Do you know she won a D-League championship coaching men? My man, one of my boys, reminded me of that. Nobody talks about that. Now, she was basically forced out of coaching. Becky Hammond is still there, coaching under Popovich. But Stephanie Reddy did it first. So as I'm saying, they should both be coaching. They should both be coaching. They should both be coaching. I don't know. What do I know, right? 888-SAY-ESPN. That is the number to call. By the way, if you missed any of the show today, go check it out on demand in the Stephen A. Smith podcast, brought to you by Capital One Saver Card. Earn 4% cash back on dining and entertainment, 2% at grocery stores, and 1% on all other purchases. What's in your wallet? Close out the show with your calls in a minute. Don't touch that dial. It's Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News.
Craving even more?
Why the hell are you talking in front of the cameras with your mouths closed at that particular moment in time? You know why? Because you're trying to garner attention and bring attention to yourself for whatever reason that may be. This is what I mean. One of the things that I mean about LeBron, his insatiable appetite to control the narrative. You ain't playing anymore this season. You need rest. You missed 18 games. The groin injury. You came back, reminded us of your greatness, but Magic Johnson and the Lakers have elected to sit you down. Why would you feel the need to talk on a basketball court? You know why? Because you want the damn attention. That's why. You want people talking about you. That's why. You want your Instagram and Twitter and Facebook followers built and proliferated even more. That's why. That's all I'm saying. There's no criming that. I wish I had more followers. There's no criming it. There's no crime in it at all. But don't deny it if somebody asked you. There's no reason for them to be on the court talking with the cameras zeroed in on them unless they wanted the damn attention. Well, if that's what you wanted, don't whine, moan, and you know what, when you get the attention that you clearly craved. Now, as for them playing together in L.A., people are ruling that out. They can't see it. Me neither, but only because I don't see Kevin Durant trying to help LeBron James win more titles. I think Kevin Durant would prefer to go someplace else so he could win more titles than LeBron. That's me. But would I completely rule it out? No. I think a lot of these cats want to live in Southern California. I think the thought of Durant with LeBron would be spectacular. I think that's instant title contention. I think if you're Kevin Durant and you're going to leave the Splash Brothers and go to State, why wouldn't you want to go to L.A.? If you're Kevin Durant, who would you rather play with, Kyrie Irving or LeBron? Who should you rather play with, Kyrie Irving or LeBron? And so Kevin Durant, leaving all his options open. This is what we're talking about. And whether or not that materializes into something remains to be seen.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, protecting commercial vehicles and offering a specialized coverage designed to protect small businesses. More ProgressiveCommercial.com. Only a couple of minutes left. Carlton, the floor is yours. Go ahead, buddy.
Hey, today, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but it took him 2 years, but Max Kellerman finally saw the light when he basically said that perhaps Antonio Brown's latest tweet pointing out how Juju Smith-Schuster fumbled the ball in the game against New Orleans and supposedly cost the Steelers a trip to the playoffs last year shows all along that this has nothing to do with Ben Roethlisberger and everything to do with Antonio Brown. This is like the 8th or 9th incident of Antonio Brown showing he doesn't care about his teammates or his GM or his coach or the Steelers organization or anybody else other than himself. When are you going to wake up, Stephen A., and realize that this guy is literally out of control? And can you imagine what's going to happen this fall when he catches 5 balls for 50 yards and Juju Smith-Schuster catches, 10 balls for 100 yards on the Steelers? He will go out of his mind blaming everybody and anybody but himself.
I don't know why you're saying that to me, because that's basically what I said this morning. I didn't condone what he said. I didn't sign off on it.
Continue, though, to go back on Ben Roethlisberger saying that he had culpability in all this. He did one thing.
I'm disappointed in your take, Carlton, from this perspective. If you know me, you know what I religiously have said about Donovan and T.O. T.O. might have been a headache, et cetera, et cetera. When you are a quarterback and you're trying to win a Super Bowl, work it out at that particular moment in time. At a later date, you do what you got to do. But work it out because you need weapons. That's my position.
Yeah, but how are you going to work it out with a guy like this? Juju Smith-Schuster has done nothing to this guy, and he keeps going at him.
But they still performed. I don't approve of it, but they still performed. He performed, and Juju Smith-Schuster performed. Carlton, I've got to run. I got to get on out of here. And guess what? I'm going to have to talk to you next week because I'm on vacation for the rest of the week, my man. And then I come back for my stretch run, beginning with the NBA playoffs. I got a few days off. I'm taking them. I'm out. So y'all have a nice time. I'll talk to y'all later. All right? Until then, this is Stephen A. Smith signing off. I'll talk to you next Monday. Until then, peace and love, everybody.
Hey, what's up? It's Will Kane.